Hey, Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more relationship stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Oh, super cheeky of you, by the way. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, today's first story comes from Mama of 4232 and says, would I be the arsehole if I called a little girl's mother to ask why son wasn't invited to her birthday? I, 28 female, have twin 5-year-old boys, Jude and Jonah. They go to a private Jewish kindergarten where it's very customary to invite the whole class to birthday parties. It might even be a school rule, but I don't think I'm going to take this to the school. Jude and Jonah are very well mannered and reserved. Obviously I'm biased, but they've always gotten along with all of their peers and have never got into any drama. Jude is definitely a slow reader and we've gotten him a tutor, but it's still very hard for him. At our synagogue, the bathroom signs just say men and women with no little picture, and they are single bathrooms. 2 weekends ago, Jude walked into the women's by accident, and I guess the door wasn't locked correctly because he walked in on this woman named Jess, who is the mother of a little girl in his class. He says he just saw her on the toilet and ran out, closed the door and said sorry. Jude immediately came up to me and told me that he was very embarrassed. I told him it wasn't a big deal and he should just remember to knock next time, and the longer word says women. He said he will, and he thought it would be a stalled bathroom like most public bathrooms, and that's fair, so I left it there. Jess came up to talk to me after and told me like he needed to be punished. She said it was extremely inappropriate. I assured her he didn't know and wouldn't do it again, but she said there's no way he can't read men and women, and that her daughter can, and told me I need to nip this behavior in the bud. I often feel talked down to because of my age by other parents at the school, so I just said I would take care of it and left it there. On Friday, her daughter was handing out birthday invites and gave one to Jonah but not Jude. They both asked her why, and she said her mum said not to give him one and wouldn't tell her why. Jude cried the whole rest of the day and wouldn't tell anyone why because he didn't want to be a tattletale. I asked Jude if anything else had happened between the two of them, and he promised me it didn't, and said they've even been playing together at recess this whole last week, and her daughter was trying to cheer him up, suggesting ways to sneak him in. I'm honestly livid. I wouldn't care if she had given neither of them an invite, but given one twin and not the other is incredibly rude and passive aggressive. I'm considering calling her and talking about it because I think it's ridiculous to hold this much of a grudge against a 5-year-old. Would that make me an arsehole? Should I just decline Jonah's invite? I think the birthday rule is silly and it's her choice who she invites, but this is just ridiculous. Edit, synagogue and school are two separate places, but there's a lot of overlap with the people. Also, I'm not planning on sending either of them to the party at the moment, but I'm considering calling her to confront her about it, rather than just having this weird dynamic where I'm hearing things from Jude that come from her kid that come from her. And my initial question on this is, why didn't she lock the door? If it's just like a single store, surely there was a lock on the door for that reason. So maybe she was just embarrassed about the situation and now is just trying to blame the child for it, which is just ridiculous. And personally, I think it's an overreaction anyway. Kid's 5 years old, clearly really embarrassed about it. And now you're trying to punish a 5-year-old for it. It's absolutely insane to me. Random little cut-off story here. I can remember a friend when we was in the pub, and in the pub there's like a set of 3 cubicles and then there's a urinal as well. And my friend had to go to the toilet to do a number 2. We wasn't in the toilet, by the way, we was watching football at this time. But as he was doing this number 2, he could hear some like kids, you know, messing around in the toilet, like splashing water at each other, like really young kids. The dad was obviously going to the toilet himself. And then suddenly, these 2 kids just come like crawling between the stalls. He said he was just sat there and he looked down and just saw this kid sort of like army crawling across from one stall to the other underneath them, and then followed by another child. And then obviously the dad's shouting at them because they're crawling across a men's bathroom floor. Nasty. But the first commenter says, not the arsehole, but I wouldn't bother. You know why he wasn't invited, and while it's cruel to exclude him for something he did by accident, don't escalate it further. Decline the invite and just let it be. I think it would be even more uncomfortable for the kids involved, since it seems like the lady is already involving her daughter by forcing her to leave out one twin. And I guess I kind of felt like that comment as well, like nothing good is going to come out of that conversation with this person. There is the chance that they might turn around and go, oh yeah, I totally see your point of view, but I very, very much doubt it in this. But Loves Boobs in DM says, normally I'd go with the person whose birthday it is, get to decide who to invite, but this time I think it's fairly reasonable to ask why one of the twins weren't invited. Passive aggressiveness towards a 5-year-old is never okay. You would not be the arsehole. Also, is it really normal for 5-year-olds to know how to read? Inner Doubt says, not the arsehole, but don't call this woman. She's getting off bullying a little boy and his mother because he made a very common mistake a lot of children make. Seriously though, do not call her. She obviously doesn't care that she's bullying a 5-year-old. She wanted you to punish a 5-year-old for walking into the bathroom and then fleeing. To me, she thinks her behavior is justified. Most likely because she doesn't think you punished him enough, so now she's trying to do it herself. Don't let one twin go and not the other. Tell them that the girl's mum is being mean to them both because she only wants one to go. Instead, take them out the day of the party. Go to a fun place they enjoy, or take them to the park or to get pizza. The only thing talking to that woman will do will take years off your life and put you in the same bracket as her. And one more comment from Dynamite42 who says Jess is definitely being unreasonable. But you don't have to take her bait to make it worse. I would call her and ask her if there was a mistake and if she meant to invite both boys. Have her specifically speak to her why she thinks your son should be punished for something so innocent. If she says it wasn't a mistake, then thank her for her explanation. Then tell her both boys won't be in attendance in a polite and calm manner. I would schedule something fun for the boys on that day so they don't feel so bad for not going. And I think that was the majority of the comments. Just do something else on that day, don't get involved with her, etc, etc. Other people saying that you should talk to her and let her know that her behavior is unacceptable. But OP does update the post and says, hi everyone. Thank you everyone who responded to my last post. I tried my best to reply or at least upvote to every comment. I was happy to hear that I wasn't the asshole, but as far as advice went, I got a lot of mixed feedback. Some telling me to call out Jess, some telling me there's nothing I can do, some telling me to host a party on the same day and invite all the kids in their class. I decided to contact our rabbi, whose wife is also the assistant principal of their school. They said they think talking with Jess and having a sit-down conversation is the best way to go. On Saturday, they asked Jess to stay after services to have a talk. It was the rabbi, his wife, me, my wife, Jess, and her ex. The rabbi's wife explained that school policy says that you can either invite less than half of the class or the entire class, and Jude was the only one not invited. Jess replied that Jude is horribly ill-mannered, and that's why she didn't want him at the party. We were all curious to know if she had any other instances of his bad manners, and she started listing that he likes running around and jumping off things. Typical 5-year-old behavior. It was honestly comedic, since anyone who's spent any time with them two knows Jonah is by far the crazy one. But anyways, she couldn't come up with any real examples of his bad behavior other than the bathroom incident, which she horribly exaggerated since the last time we talked about it. The rabbi's wife said that the only way this could be a valid reason for the school board was if she filed a complaint with the synagogue and the school, and then they would both investigate. So she caved and said they could both come, and we said we would decide if we wanted to. Her ex came up to us as we were leaving, after not saying anything the whole meeting. He said not to come to the birthday party since Jess is going to be a momzilla and probably be an arsehole the whole time. We organised a playdate for a few days after the party as planned at his house, and he assured the boys would get a goodie bag and cake. Clearly the most important things. Anyway, good news all around. The boys are pretty much over it and they think we're being drama queens. Anyway, thanks Reddit. Now if I was OP, I still definitely wouldn't be going to that party. I wouldn't want to be around or associate with someone like Jess in this. The ex sounds like a decent person at least. And I think another positive is at least getting like official people involved and letting them know of the situation and what's been going on. So at least they got a heads up in case anything happens further down the road. You know, we've certainly seen it in these stories, right? But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Oh, it seems today we're going with a school-like theme. This one's from School Play Throwaway, who says, and it does come with an update as well, am I the arsehole for not sharing my daughter's school play video with my father after he slept through it? Not the arsehole. Now, let's read it and find out, Mark. Let's read it and find out. My 35 female father, 68 male, moved to a different country 8 years ago. He tries to visit whenever he can, and I try to help him have as much of a relationship with my children, 9 male, 5 female, and a baby girl, as possible. Whenever he visits, however, he tends to act a bit entitled. He either sleeps or hangs out with his old friends in the morning and afternoons, doesn't help me with anything I ask him to, and then gets annoyed when he wants to do something at 9 PM and the kids are too tired. His excuses are always that he's exhausted from traveling and deserves to get some rest and spend time with friends he never gets to see anymore. My kids are always excited when my dad visits, but at this point, they see him more when he's FaceTiming us from a different hemisphere and when he's staying in our guest room. Anyway, he's visiting us now to meet my youngest daughter, who was born in September. He got here 2 weeks ago and will fly back home in a few days. I've been trying to get him to spend more time with my kids this time around, but he still goes out a lot. My older daughter had her first ever school play on Saturday. She was really excited about it and invited my father. He promised he would come. The day before the play, my father went out with his friends and didn't come back until 3 AM. The play started at 11 AM and we had to get there 30 minutes earlier. In total, he must have gotten about 6 hours of sleep. When we, my dad, my husband, my son and me got there, we sat in one of the first rows. My daughter had asked us to. The play was 40 minutes long. My father fell asleep less than 15 minutes in. I woke him up, he slept again. He snores loudly when he sleeps, so I kept waking him up whenever he slept. Near the end of the play, I was too late to wake him and he let out a snore that was so loud that some of the kids on the stage looked over at us. At that, I hit his arm a little harder and he didn't fall back to sleep. My husband and I haven't mentioned anything to my daughter, but it's obvious she noticed. She was heartbroken after the play and dismissed any of our attempts to talk about it. My husband filmed the play for my mum and stepdad, who were with our baby during it. Instantly after the play, my dad asked if he could have the video too, since he didn't watch most of it. We're not sharing it with him. I told him he had the opportunity to watch it live and instead ruin the experience for all of us, especially my daughter. He doesn't deserve to watch what he missed just because he decided to stay out late the night before. My dad's pissed. He's telling me and my husband that we're robbing him of his role in my daughter's life. He also maintains the excuse that he was exhausted during the play and needed to get some rest. I really don't think we're the arseholes, but with how tense things have been getting, it might be easier to just let him watch the video. Am I the arsehole? Nah, and I would get pissed off with that behavior as well. He's saying one thing, doing the other, disappointing your children, his grandchildren at the same time, which is just incredibly sad. So no, you're not robbing him of his role in your daughter's life, he's fucking that up himself. And I'm not saying he can't visit his friends or anything like that, but you know, he's making choices here and actions have consequences, it's as simple as that. But a deleted user says not the arsehole, he sounds exhausting to deal with. If this is how he behaves, why'd you let him stay with you when he visits? He's not there for you and your family. He's there to go out with his buddies. Your family is just there, and to me it seems like he's trying to make himself care when he has other, higher priorities. Don't let him have the video. He was being a jerk. His behavior ruined the play, and you know he upset your daughter. Opie responds to that and says, he stays with my younger sister sometimes, but her place is much smaller than ours. The rest of my paternal family lives mostly in a different state. It's usually more convenient for him to stay at my apartment. The deleted user then responds to OP and says, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Maybe you shouldn't let him. He doesn't seem to be there for any of you. He's going out with his buddies late into the night and sleeping in well into the day. You said everyone sees him more on video calls when he's at home. That's weird. It's like he's using your home as a free hotel. Why let him do that? Chronicler Sorter says, not the arsehole. Rip Van Winkle can get over himself. He's either a grandparent or he isn't. He doesn't get to party with the boys until 3 AM and then expect to be catered to. Hobnob says, oh, I love a hobnob. That's a biscuit, by the way. Not the arsehole. He doesn't come to see you and the kids. He comes to see his friends and you're a free hotel. Your mum stayed home with the baby, so her ex could sleep it off and upset her granddaughter and everyone else there with his loud snoring. The video isn't the main problem. He could stay home and you could send him videos. The only negative is on his social life. Think on that. What advantages does him turning up offer to your nuclear family? OP responds to that and says, my mum is especially upset about this. She wanted to come to the play but volunteered to watch my baby so that my dad could go. CR1039 says you need to determine with your dad if he's in town to help with whatever you ask him to, or to visit friends and relax, plus see you and the kids. There's a difference in intent. Opie says, by help me with anything I ask him to, I meant minuscule tasks. Handing over the remote control is too much of an effort sometimes. And one more comment from T Rose, who says, not the arsehole. He could have made a very small sacrifice to see the play. Had a few drinks, but came home by reasonable time and got some sleep. Also, what's wrong with his friends? Do they not have any family, kids, grandchildren of their own? You'd think they'd understand if you had to cut down on one single night of drinking by a few hours, if not cancelling fully. So OP kindly comes in with an update and says, to those who commented on my post, thank you. My father's leaving tomorrow, so I thought I'd give a small update. These past few days, things have been awkward. Mostly because me and my husband were mad at my father, who was mad at us back. A few hours after I wrote my post, my father decided to prove me wrong about my daughter being upset. He sat next to her and tried to get her to talk about the play. He was asking her questions about it, many of which he'd know the answer to if he'd stayed awake during it. I'm guessing my daughter understood that because it only made things worse. She refused to answer his questions and at one point ran to me crying. I'm not sure if that was my dad's wake-up call or if it was his granddaughter refusing to talk to him. She usually idolizes him. Whatever it was, he apologized to my daughter. Grandpa was really tired, but he loves you very much. She said she forgave him but was still upset. So he came to me Tuesday night to ask what he could do to fix things before he went home. I helped him brainstorm some ideas. Yesterday, my father surprised the kids with a trip to the aquarium. My daughter had been asking to go there for a while, but with a newborn at home, we hadn't found the time yet. The kids had a lot of fun there, and my dad let them each get a plushie from the gift shop. Afterwards, we went to McDonald's and took the kids to see Santa at the mall. Overall, my kids had a great day with their grandfather, and my daughter is feeling a lot better. That said, the aquarium, non-fancy food, and old guy in a fake beard are definitely part of my father's idea of hell, so I'm sure I hear him complain about all the sacrifices he made for his grandkids for a while. But as long as my kids thinks he had fun, I'm fine with that. I do think he understands he screwed up though. He's no longer asking us for the video, and as promised, he'll never show such disregard for things my kids care about again. As some of you suggested, I told him that he'll have to stay with my sister or one of his friends next time he visits. I think he knows the "you're keeping me away from my grandkids" excuse won't work on me, because he hasn't complained about that yet. If he tries to pick a fight over it once he's home, I'll hang up on him. Thanks everyone. Whilst I'm not 100% convinced that he's going to change his behavior from here on out, I'm glad that he did try to make it up in that moment for the kids and, took them to the aquarium and had a good day with them because it sounds like it was needed. And I'm glad that OP has got some sort of boundaries in place, if you like, and telling him that he's going to have to stay elsewhere next time he's around. Putting your foot down and saying, enough's enough now. And I'll just read the top comment from the update, which says, I'm glad it got through his thick skull and glad that he put some work into making things right. But I cannot fathom a grown man whining about sacrifices to make up for him being a bad grandpa. I mean, my mum can barely walk, but for my birthday, a day in which we had my 5-year-old niece and we planned activities around her, she walked about 8 miles in a local park we went to. She's 58, bad joints, a fake ankle, and a few extra pounds, and not once did she complain about having to sacrifice anything for her grandchild to have fun. Or even, me, her daughter. No judgment to you, OP, as you decide what is best. This isn't someone I'd want in my kids' lives if everything was a sacrifice or other imposition. And there was other comments saying, that they think that the grandpa does actually love the children and he just fucked up here. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. And don't forget, at the very end of the video, there'll be a couple of playlists there that you can click on and it will automatically scroll through all the videos for you. So whatever you're up to, if you're doing a bit of crochet, as someone posted a picture on the other day, it was absolutely amazing to see. Bit of walking, bit of gardening, hopefully not in this cold weather, then it will continue to scroll through all the stories for you. Huge thank you, and I'll see you soon. Take care, and much love.